You would think that in a place as advanced as America, somebody just going about and disappearing would not be too common of a thing. But it does happen, and apparently it happens pretty often. In 2019, the FBI released statistics saying that they had 87,000 missing person cases active at the same time. Now, whenever somebody goes missing in the city, there is always a huge headline about it and people go out of their way to look for them. And most of the time they are found, whether that be dead or alive. But today we're going to be looking at disappearances that happen in a slightly different area, and that is in America's national parks. There are so many people that have gone missing in national parks that it has actually become one of the internet's biggest mysteries, and people are trying to get to the bottom of it. Now, first of all, let's talk about what makes these disappearances so different from those that happen in the city. Whenever people disappear in the city nowadays, people can almost always see what direction they went in, at least, because there's so many cameras around the city and there's so many things that are interconnected that it's almost impossible for somebody to completely disappear. But when it comes to national parks, however, there are no cameras around and no one can really explain what happened unless they were there. And sometimes people that are found in national parks after going missing for a while are found in ways that make absolutely no sense. So without further ado, let's get into the theories of what exactly is causing these disappearances. So first we're going to be starting with something that has been making rounds on the internet, and that is the apparent overaggression of skinwalkers. Now, I do have a video on skinwalkers, but for those of you who don't know what it is, it's pretty much just something that arrives from the Navajo tribe, and it is supposedly a witch who can turn into an animal in order to harm others. Now, that is a criminally simplified version of what they are, so if you do want to get the full gist of what exactly a skinwalker is, then I would suggest you go watch my older video. Now, the real question is that if skinwalkers are real, why would they become more aggressive all of a sudden? Now, what exactly has been going around in the world which has prevented people from visiting different areas? And that is, of course, the illness I'm sure we are all familiar with, which I'm not going to say the name of because apparently YouTube does not like it too much, but I think you all know what we're talking about. So this illness, when it first came out, actually stopped people from doing anything, whether that be in America or around the world, and people were not able to travel or pretty much hang out with any other people. So what the internet is thinking is that for that 1 year span where this illness really took off and people were not able to go anywhere, these skinwalkers were not able to feed on anybody. So what people are theorizing is that these skinwalkers are extremely hungry, and that's why they're going even harder now that people are able to visit these national parks. Now, some people might be skeptical that something like this could actually exist, but our national parks cover so many acres that it's actually pretty possible for something to hide out in there. In other words, if something lived in our national parks and did not want to be seen, it would not be too difficult to do so. Now, if you are somebody who has a TikTok, I'm sure that you might have seen the rise in TikTok videos where apparently skinwalkers are trying to contact people by using a certain voice or trying to call them in a way that attracts them to a certain location.
If you've ever wondered what a skinwalker looks and sounds like, this is a great example. They imitate human sounds to lure you in, thinking you need to go help someone before you realize that it's too late.
Now, with it being TikTok and being mainly for entertainment, you cannot take like 95% of these videos seriously because most of them are going to be fake. But can they all be fake? I don't know. I feel like not every single video on TikTok can be fake. I feel like the odds are some of them might be real. Now, whether they're actually skinwalkers calling them or it can be a prank or, something that they might think is real but actually isn't, I don't know. But I feel like it's really, worth investigating. And while many people might be quick to dismiss this, saying that there's no real way a creature like this could exist, I would like to keep an open mind. I feel like humans might be too egotistical when it comes to them knowing how the world works, and they like to think that they know everything, but to be honest, I think that the world we see is not everything in the world, if that makes sense. Now, moving on to theory number 2, and that is that we are actually being visited by aliens and that they are taking people from our national parks for experimentation. Now, if you've been following this channel for a while, then you will know that I love the thought of aliens. I think aliens are real 100%. Now, whether I think that they are, responsible for taking people from our national parks, I don't know. But let's dive into it. There have been several cases where people go missing in a certain area in a national park, and their body is actually found, but they're found about 50 miles away from where they originally started. Now, this causes people to wonder how exactly somebody could go that far in a small amount of time. If they're only gone for like a day or two, it's really possible that they were able to walk 50 miles and then randomly collapse and die. This causes many people to believe that a lot of these disappearances could actually be the abduction of aliens. I think we can all agree that if there was another species visiting Earth, and the first thing they would want to do is have some kind of scientific experiments on humans, that way they know how we work. I honestly think it'd be one of the first things we do, so why isn't it possible that other species can do it as well? Not only that, but it would be a lot more convenient for the aliens as well, since a UFO appearing over our national parks would be a lot less likely to be seen than one appearing over the city. Now, the reason that people think that these bodies are appearing so far from where they were originally is that the fact that the aliens are just dropping them off wherever after their experiments are done. Maybe the aliens fly around while the experiments are being done, and after they're finished with them, they just throw them off wherever they are at that moment in time. Now, how possible is this? Well, I think it could be very possible. There are a lot of alien stories that actually revolve around the woods, so it would not be very unlikely for aliens to kind of operate around this area. And a lot of the forest rangers actually have a lot of stories of seeing UFOs in those areas, so they actually see things flying ahead of them or above them and they don't really know what they are. And there are some reports of bodies being found in national parks, but the bodies are mutilated in a way that doesn't make too much sense for an animal to do. For example, there could be a body which has clean cuts across its stomach, which are a bit too clean for an animal with claws to be able to do. But of course, this is up for debate since many people disagree and say that an animal could in fact make these wounds. Now, another popular theory going around right now, which I think is pretty interesting, and it's not really paranormal, it's more conspiracy based, but it is that something like Squid Games is actually going around and actually happening. Now, if you have been anywhere around the internet, then you might have seen of the Netflix show Squid Game, which is pretty much a show where people are kidnapped and they are meant to play these games of death, where of course their life is on the line in order for them to win some money. Now, many people watch it and see it as a form of fiction, which it probably is. But many people don't consider how something like that can actually happen. Now, many people out there believe that something like Squid Games can never happen today and age because eventually somebody would leak or somebody would eventually find out. But there are a lot of things that happen in today's age that people don't really know about. Now, let's take Epstein for example. Before he came out with his information, many people had a conspiracy that there was an island somewhere in the ocean where some of the world's most important people got together and committed heinous acts with people that were not of age. Now, for the longest time, this was looked down upon as just a conspiracy, and people thought that anybody that thought this was actually just crazy. But the sad thing is that it was actually a thing, and Epstein was actually seen flying to the island with many important people like Donald Trump and Bill Clinton. So my point is that if people were able to take children and do who knows what with them, then what makes them incapable of having them fight to the death or kidnapping people and having them fight over money? The thing about an idea like Squid Game is that it seems very implausible until it actually happens or is actually proven, and that's kind of scary. If you were a person or a company that wanted to kidnap people for their own sadistic entertainment, I think a national park would be the perfect place to do it. This could also explain why a lot of people who go missing in our national parks are actually never found. Now, there are forest rangers that try their best to keep these national parks protected, but people have to understand that these national parks can be miles and miles long, making it extremely hard to cover completely. All somebody would have to do is take a trek and wait somewhere off the beaten path and wait for someone to wander into them before they kidnap them. It would honestly not be that difficult. And now we're going to be getting into our last theory, which is that there is some kind of interdimensional portal inside the forest. Now, the theories of portals have been around for hundreds of years, but apparently according to some of these theories, portals can be found almost anywhere in the world if you know where to look. These portals tend to form around places with a lot of nature around them apparently. Now, what exactly does having a portal in our national forest actually do? Well, first, many people think that you can actually walk into this portal if you're not aware of it, and you can walk in by accident. This could explain why a lot of people are never found, or why you only find fragments of people like their cell phone or their necklace on the ground. Now, if these portals are real, then where exactly would they lead? Well, it depends on who you ask. Many people think that we share the same space with other creatures, but they're just on another plane of existence. And walking into a portal can lead you into another world of terrifying creatures, which leads to my other point. Just like we can walk in, apparently there are creatures that can come out. Many people believe that these portals can actually be home to a lot of creatures that we see today, but we are not really aware of their existence, like Bigfoot and or Skinwalkers. For all we know, that could be a good reason on why we never see Bigfoot, because he actually goes in and out of portals. Maybe Bigfoot does not live on this plane of existence, but he just visits from time to time, whether it be by accident or on purpose. But anyways guys, let me know what you think of these theories. Now, I know that people most likely get lost or they get eaten or something, but I think these theories are really fun to think about. Also, let me know in the comments below if you want me to cover any topic in particular. I've been looking for more stories to cover, so if you have one in mind, please let me know. Until next time guys, take it easy and stay safe.